So, I'm sick right now, and I wanted to still constantly be working on content because America ruined me. I thought it would be easier for me to work on a simple storytime video because I can pump out a full script in like 12 minutes and it doesn't have to be too like animation visual heavy. I could just like slap it on a speed paint. And I was going through my brain thinking to myself what kind of storytime I should do. I have a handful of situations that are like silly and insane enough to be put in a video of this type. But I decided that probably the craziest and most entertaining one is about my first job. So as I tell you this story, you're probably gonna think that I'm like really stupid because of all the red flags about this business that should have popped up at me sooner. And I hope that hook is strong enough to keep you watching because I really don't have enough energy for this. So, picture this. Me, unemployed, stupid, willing to take anything offered to me. There was this new sushi restaurant that had opened up in town, like 2 minutes away from my house. And even better, my parents knew the owner, so I figured it would be fairly easy for me to get a job there. I was right. I went there with my family to eat one night, and the owner came right up to our table to say hi and stuff, and then my dad, who was a lovely person, asked about the job thing. Because, I probably wouldn't have asked, I'm too introverted. She did say yes, and she said that she would contact me about an interview soon if I gave her my email address, so that's what I did. I went home that night feeling like super accomplished and excited to finally make some of my own money and be less of a burden on the people that I know. So I figured it wouldn't be long before I was contacted with info about the job because, that's how professionals are supposed to work. It's supposed to get back to people who want to be employed by them, but it was long. It was weeks. It had been weeks, and she still hadn't emailed me, so I reached out about the job, and she kind of acted like she hadn't met me before, so that was a little weird. She told me I could come in for an interview, though, on the following Monday, and I was just like, great, so I did that. It was scheduled at 4 o'clock right after my school got out, and I showed up like 10 minutes early, and I sat down, and I kid you not, she did not show up until 5. That should have been an indicator to me that this would not be the best place to work, but I had never worked anywhere before, so I just took the job. Like, she didn't even ask me any questions or anything, she just hired me. So I ended up with a barista job. I worked behind the bar, and I made people boba tea and coffee, and I thought that would be like super cute of me and stuff, and I was really excited. And on my first day, I came in, and I was ready to help and do good work and stuff, and I was, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, you might say. So I went into my boss's office, she had me pick a number so I could clock in and out, and then she didn't do anything else. The only thing she said to me before she went back into her office was, make me a taro milk tea. That was it. My thought process should have been, gee, isn't that weird? Isn't it strange that you're not spending your time now being trained like you're supposed to? You don't know how to do this. Why would she expect you to do this without being trained at all? But I didn't. I don't know why I was so stupid. I just went behind the bar and said to myself, well, I'll figure this out. The other girls that worked behind the bar with me showed me how to make it, and I will be grateful to them for that forever, because I kid you not, my boss literally never showed me how to do anything the entire time that I was there. She never assigned a more experienced worker to train me either, so like my first couple weeks of working went by and I knew virtually nothing. The work itself wasn't actually bad, though. I enjoyed making the drinks, and, food service has the downs of shitty people and crazy folks, but that was expected. But there were also, really nice people, and that made up for it. There was one guy that tipped me more than his entire order was worth once, and that was probably the best day that I had at that job. But yeah, I actually hated my coworkers more than the terrible customers. The people that I worked with all went to my school, and they were all part of the social group that I actively avoided being around. The boys were all like sports-playing white assholes with haircuts that made them seem like perpetual bet losers, and the girls were shockingly dumb, and they had orange spray tans and fake blonde hair. And I'm not even gonna talk about my boss's shitty daughter who worked there and literally pushed me multiple times to get past me. Like, I didn't want to be around those people multiple times a week for several hours at a time. It was killing me. I should have just quit on the spot because my boss was clearly not teaching me anything, and the environment of the business was actually making my mental health worse. Not to mention, some of my coworkers took advantage of me, getting me to do their jobs for them by telling me everyone took turns doing certain things. I believed them because my dumbass wanted to see the best, and to make my experience even the slightest bit more pleasant, I was trying to get them to like me. That was really dumb, because high schoolers are emotionally immature, and if someone isn't exactly the same as them, they love to torment that person. Eventually I stopped trying, and I stopped doing extra work for them, but I still hated being around them. But anyway, as my time there went on, I just started to hate it more every day. Like, it was making my life worse because I was so mentally tired all the time that I didn't even want to be around people that I liked. Like, this was when things started to get ridiculous, though. Like, it's so ridiculous that I can't even believe this place hasn't gone out of business. Like, I can't even explain this. During spring break, I was one of the only people that was still willing to come in. My boss told me that she needed me to host because the hosts were all gone on vacation. Hosting is easy as fuck, so I did it on one day during spring break. But even after that, she started putting me on the schedule as the host. Like, I don't mind doing the host work, but I only agreed to do it for one day, and I didn't want to switch my job from barista to host because I hate plan changes. And also the host schedule, like, she needed hosts on different days than she needed baristas because all the days that I was working as a barista, she had hosts, so she was rearranging my schedule and stuff. Like, she kept trying to put me on for days I specifically said I couldn't work, and she just, like, I don't know, acted like I was doing something wrong when I reminded her that I couldn't work those days. So when I finally had the courage to bring it up to her that I had not meant to switch my job from barista to host, she put me on the schedule for that week for barista. And I thought that the issue had been resolved, but the following week, she put me back on as host. I was so exasperated with her, and I wanted to quit so bad, but I felt like people would judge me for quitting after only a couple months of working and, like, not take me seriously for anything that I said at all, so I just stayed. Because I figured I would make do with what I had, because, you know, I was getting paid, so it was fine, right? No, it wasn't, actually. It was really wrong. It was not fine. This was around the time my coworkers started making fun of me, like, every time I was there. I don't know why, they just did, and, like, I can take a verbal hit, I don't give a fuck what people say about me, so I didn't really care for most of it, but there was this one time where they just, like, really got on my nerves. There was this unholy concoction that one of the chefs had made out of a joke of literal garbage, and they tried to convince me that it was food and have me take it home and eat it. Like, it smelled like rotten ass, and it was, like, 4 different shades of 1000% inedible gray. They were making very persistent efforts in trying to get me to take it home, and they kept trying to tell me that it was food made specially by one of the chefs, and then they were, like, giggling and gagging about it when they thought I wasn't looking. They were trying to make me look stupid, and, like, I don't know why, but literally the adults that worked there were also participating in this. Like, I just went home. I was so tired of their bullshit. I left the garbage on the counter. That could have been 100% a viable reason for me to quit working there. My boss is dodging around giving me the actual job I signed up for. My coworker is mistreating me, and I was never trained at all. But do you know what I did? I kept fucking working there. I don't know why. Like, the final nail in the coffin that actually made me quit, though, was like a week after that. There was this weird technical issue happening with the order system. This one girl that I saw, like, twice the entire time I worked there because our schedules didn't match happened to be there that day. She was also, like, the only person I liked, by the way. But, every time she plugged an order into her number on that day, it went into my account. So there were these orders that I didn't make in my account, so therefore I could not close them. So the system said that we lost money. These orders were not made by actual people, so we got the boss's daughter to void them. We figured that would be fine, and we got back to our work. By the end of the day, my boss had gotten mad at me, obviously. She came up to me, and she was going off about orders I had messed up, and things I hadn't finished, and I didn't even know what she was talking about until I remembered the incident from before. I tried to explain to her that it was an issue with the technology, but she literally didn't believe me. The girl that also knew what had happened had already left for the day. I wasn't mad at her, and I bear no grudge because it has nothing to do with me anymore, but the fact that she wasn't there made it seem like I was lying, and it was, like, the worst coincidence of my life. I understand why she didn't believe me, but she started going off about how I always did it wrong, which she had never brought up before. She said the fact that I did it wrong was why she kept making me host, because host didn't have to punch orders in. I was trying to be calm in this situation, and instead of being like, why didn't you tell me that before? Or why didn't you train me before? I just said I was never taught how to use the machines correctly, apparently, and I didn't know that I was doing it wrong. Then she literally said the words, "I'll train you when I have time." That sounds normal, right? Owning a restaurant is a busy job. The thing about this that pissed me off so bad was that I had a training period for 2 weeks when I first started. She taught me nothing during that entire period. She just threw me in there and gave me tasks I had no idea how to complete. The entire time I worked there, I thought I was fucking everything up because I wasn't good enough, but I didn't realize that there was something screwy going on with the way she was running this until that moment when she said, "I will train you when I have time." I don't know why I expected to be able to do everything with no training at all, and I don't know why I felt bad for not being able to. I left, and the morning after, I turned in my 2 weeks. I wish it had ended there, but I had to probe to receive my final paycheck for my last shifts. She told me she would contact me when the period was up and tell me to come get it, but of course, she never did that. I realized that the pay period was way over, so I had to go in person and ask for it. That was the last time I went into that building, and I plan to never go in again. Plus, another little thing I know about it, just one final blow. All of our boba was prepackaged, and the milk teas use powder and water instead of milk. I know obviously not all restaurants will be like this, but I'm pretty sure that I'm soured forever on food service jobs now. That's my horrible first job story. I'm sure others had worse first jobs, but that's my 2 cents, and I hope you were entertained by it.